Black smoke is rising over the capital. The enemy is outside the gates, and the collapse of an empire is entirely imminent. This map shows the territorial deficit. Sassanid forces swallowed the eastern provinces, pushing to the sea. Zooming in on Egypt reveals why this was fatal. It provided the calories sustaining the capital. When grain ships stopped, the countdown to total starvation began. The state treasury was completely empty. Without capital, the traditional Byzantine defense mechanism of hiring foreign mercenaries was completely off the table. Look closely at the thick masonry of these banded brick and stone walls. The fortifications of Constantinople were the only physical barrier preventing total erasure. They had no agricultural base, absolutely no treasury, and no field army. By every conventional metric, the Byzantine Empire was already dead. Surviving this was statistically impossible. Avoiding annihilation meant the Byzantine leadership had to completely abandon their traditional defensive military doctrines. They needed an extreme, high-risk strategy. You are looking at the type of jewel-encrusted religious icons that held the empire's remaining cultural wealth. Out of pure financial desperation, the state stripped its own churches and melted down these sacred artifacts just to avoid bankruptcy. This newly minted embossed gold coin is proof of where that wealth went. The liquidated church silver and gold provided the immediate capital needed to forge a highly mobile, deeply specialized cavalry force. The leadership reframed the entire conflict as a holy crusade. They convinced a broken military that they were no longer fighting for mere tax revenue or borders, but for the survival of their religion itself. These fresh gold wages and the new religious mandate consolidated the remaining survivors. Within months, the Byzantines had built a singular, highly motivated strike force that viewed their mission as a matter of divine necessity. Watch as this new, armored cavalry abandons the defenses of the capital entirely, marching straight out into harsh, hostile terrain. Charting their route on the map reveals their audacious plan. They deliberately bypassed the main Sassanid armies that were currently blockading their capital, swinging wide to pierce deep into Persian territory. Zooming directly into the Persian heartland, we see their targets. The Byzantines struck the completely untouched agricultural and logistical hubs that were actively feeding the Sassanid war machine. The Sassanid military structure was built specifically to push outward. When suddenly forced to fight a brutal invasion on their own soil, the Persian leadership fell into a complete panic. This maneuver created a massive geometric advantage. The Sassanids had to desperately recall their troops to defend their core cities, instantly relieving the pressure on the walls of Constantinople. The Byzantine forces reached structures just like this massive stone palace, torching the royal estates. This struck a fatal, deeply demoralizing blow to Sassanid political stability. By refusing to fight at their own gates, the Byzantines inverted the geopolitical chessboard. They weaponized the Sassanids' massive territorial overextension, turning the enemy's size into the exact mechanism of their collapse. The Sassanid military machine finally broke down. Internal rebellions tore through their leadership, forcing them to completely capitulate and surrender all the Byzantine territory they had taken. As you can see on the map, the borders rapidly rewound. The Byzantine Empire pulled off the impossible, stretching all the way back to its original pre-war boundaries. But look at the physical toll. Decades of continuous, brutal warfare left the surviving armies of both empires completely decimated, their manpower entirely spent. Across the region, the infrastructure looked like these low, circular stone ruins. Neither empire had the capital or working populations to rebuild their shattered cities. This mutual destruction created a catastrophic geopolitical vulnerability. Both of these exhausted superpowers were completely unready for the sudden, explosive rise of the Rashidun Caliphate moving in from the south. The Byzantine counteroffensive remains one of history's most spectacular strategic turnarounds, but it leaves us with a stark reality. Surviving the abyss requires such extreme exertion, it can leave an empire too exhausted to survive the day after.